Hi, this is Summer Todd. On my show tonight, I'll have a guest. I'll let him introduce himself, and we'll be talking about some various subjects. So, David?
Yeah, hi. My name's David Campione. I'm in North Central Florida, and I grew up. My father started researching flying saucers in 1948, and of course I grew up in that era. I'm a lot older than all of you put together, I think, so age-wise. So
That's lovely.
So after my dad did a lot of research from the 40s, a couple of years in the 40s, and then the 50s, and then the 60s, and he lost his eyesight. He was a working man. He actually worked on in Philadelphia where they made stainless steel trains, which worked for the E.J. Budd Company, some German guy company set up over there back in the early 40s or something. And anyway. He knew metal. He knew metallic metal, and when he read about Major Kehoe in 1947 with the flying saucer, which he talked about it or he read about it, and then my father decided to research it in the area that we lived in Philadelphia, and he started, 48, and of course I didn't know much in 48, but I had an experience with 5 other people in 1956 in Philadelphia, when the first saucer that I've ever seen. And but anyway, my dad kept on going, and I'm doing my thing. I'm going through school and wound up in the service, and then when I got back from Vietnam, he had some color pictures from a man who was told to contact my father from Albuquerque, New Mexico, by space beings who were from Como Bernices, and told him he was the only man you can trust in this planet to help you out. And they went and copyrighted it. His name is Paul Villa, and he went and copyrighted Vilcamp is what they put it under, his photographs. He took during the daytime in color, anyway, I have a book out, but I'll get to that later. But then my father started doing lectures in the southern, when he moved over to New Jersey from Philadelphia, and he started doing lectures in what they call the Delaware Valley in southern New Jersey and in Philadelphia area, and still doing the research. And he was the only one out there doing all this stuff. And then he would take a report, and one of the most amazing things that he said he ever experienced was a lady, or the report was in South Philadelphia, in the city of Philadelphia, in the South Philly area, where a lady was walking her dog at night, and about 10 o'clock at night, and she stopped at the intersection. I don't know which intersection it was, but the traffic light there, and because she had a red light, and she started seeing this little disc come there. You know what a coffee saucer? We don't use coffee saucers anymore. They were like 6 inches in diameter, and and she saw this coffee saucer, but it was a pure light, and it came, and it stopped about a foot from her, and then it went right through her face.
Oh my God!
And she was 81 years old. And when my father interviewed her, it was like I guess it was 2 years after the incident that happened. He said she looked like she was 40.
Wow.
Yeah, whatever they did with this thing, and it came in through, and it just made her like a young lady. But that was to me, that was one of the most extraordinary things I've ever heard of. But anyway, he did so much research, and probably 1,000 reports that he had taken over his time, maybe even more. I don't have any of the paperwork, but the Paul Villa, who photographed in the Como Bernice spacecraft in Albuquerque, outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. My father and him corresponded for 8 years, and through the late 60s and the early 70s. We didn't have computers then. and they didn't. Apparently, Paul was just an auto mechanic, and in Albuquerque, outside of Albuquerque, and if you saw his place, you wonder how he even had a camera. I don't even know. I guess he made some money at it. But anyway,
Yeah.
my dad started doing and putting that in his lecture, putting this lecture together, and then plus all the reports, and then he went to his brother and asked him, who was a commercial fashion illustrator out of New York City, and he said, I have over 50 possible illustrations of people, of sightings of different spacecraft. And could you make from the description and come up with an idea on what these craft look like from their description? So he did. So in the manual, I have, I think there was 53. So we had in the Delaware Valley, the Philadelphia, Southern New Jersey, over 25 years, there were 53 different species of humans visiting that area. 53, unheard of, totally unheard of. Yeah, everybody says the West Coast. The West Coast didn't have anything compared to what my dad was dealing with. And of course, I wasn't dealing with it because I was still in the service when I came back from Vietnam, and then I started a career in photography, which I'm still a photographer over 50 years. And I was working in northern New Jersey, and he knew a guy. I mean, you know different people, like we know Mark, and that's how I got to know you guys. And he knew this psychiatrist in northern New Jersey, or Upper Montclair, New Jersey, who one of his patients was a photographer, and she was looking for somebody to work in the business. And I was living in Denver after I graduated from college, and they hired me. So I drove back to New Jersey, and I went up to northern New Jersey where I was working at. And this Dr. Schwartz, I don't know if you heard his name, but he was quite active in the UFO field. He was a psychiatrist, and he had a license to practice in 7 states, psychiatry, which is unheard of. And my dad always figured he was CIA. But he had a good friend named August Roberts, where everybody called him Augie, and he came up with a like a rifle stock and mounted a camera in it because he was a photojournalist, and there was information coming down from a reservoir in northern New Jersey called Wanakee Reservoir, which was the water that was supplying Newark, New Jersey. It would come down, I don't know how many miles, 180 miles or something, would go through all these aqueducts and to get down to Newark. But there was a report, now the kids would go up to this reservoir, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with submarine races.
No.
This is well, when I was growing up, they called that's where you went to make out at. So,
Okay.
That's what they called it submarine races. I don't know why, but that's what it was when I was growing up. But anyway, there were reports of a flying saucer over this reservoir, and it would sit, it would hover, and then a white beam would come down, and it was sort of like the George Adamski photograph of the Venusian scout craft, the shape. And it would hover over this huge reservoir, and this light beam, this big white light beam would come down and I don't know, like stay there for like 20 minutes and then leave. But it wasn't every night. So Augie went out there and he photographed it, and that's how he created this camera with the rifle stock on it. And he went up there and he photographed that particular spacecraft, which they found out later that it was what this craft was doing. Every time a Union Carbide had I'm all over the place, but this is how my life has been. It's been crazy. Union Carbide was making radioactive isotopes I guess it's for nuclear power. And what they would do every once in a while, they would dump it into the reservoir, their waste material. So it was all nuclear. It was aerated. They were dumping waste, nuclear waste into the reservoir, which would go into Newark, New Jersey. So what this flying saucer was doing, it was coming over every time they did it, and this space flying saucer would hover and then purify the water and take the radioactive isotopes out of the water. So this guy Augie had the pictures of it. It was just amazing. It was all nighttime, and I was up there when I first started working up there in the late '71 and early '72. I took a ride up to that reservoir, and a cop came up and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm seeing if it's one of these flying saucers that are going to come over here." But anyway, this Dr. Schwartz, who knew my father and all throughout the UFO field, and it was part of the work that my dad was involved with, because he was in southern New Jersey, and this was in somehow connected with in northern New Jersey, and it gave me a job with working as a full-time position with somebody, which I came in from Colorado as a photographer, and but my dad showed to Dr. Schwartz what he was putting together for his slide presentation. And he had the illustrations from his brother, who from the research that he was doing with the people who had the sightings or the contacts of the various spacecraft, and he showed this whole thing to Dr. Schwartz, and he said, "Wow," he says, "this is really neat." And when I got hired, well, I think my dad told Dr. Schwartz that I was a photographer, so that's how partial how I got hired up there in this photo studio, because Dr. Schwartz had video, Super 8 millimeter movie film from a lady named Stella in Western Massachusetts, and she would set up the camera on her back porch and run it for I don't know how long, and pick up, as the CIA always called it, was artifact.
Wow.
So they gave me the film, and then I would view it, and then I would stop the frames and then try to photograph it off a regular screen. I don't know if you've ever seen those slide projection screens where they pull up. They're like a tube, and then they pull up. Well, I was using that. What's that?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I have to.
You had to turn the enlarger on its side and then project it on. So I was running it through the photo enlarger, but the lines, there's all there's all kinds of lines in there. So I went to Kodak, and Kodak created a special screen. It was made out of a piece of aluminum, so I wouldn't get any of those lines. So I'd be able to photograph the images off of what was on the film. And this went on for like a year and a half. And one Sunday I was invited to take the Paul Villa pictures, which are on in my book on the Amazon.com on the UFO spacecraft identification manual. You could probably just leaf through it. You don't have to buy it. You could leaf through it and see the color photos in there of the spacecraft. And anyway, I went to this house, and I had dinner there. It was a Sunday afternoon, and then there were, I don't know, like 10 people there, and then 4 of the men said, "Go, okay," because I had to bring the photos with me, the color slides from what Paul Villa had taken. And then we went down into their basement. It was a finished basement. They had one wall that was 6 feet wide and about 8 foot tall, pure white, and that's how we projected this one spacecraft, the flying saucer, on there. And those guys they're all CIA. I found out they're all CIA people. Okay, Central Intelligence Agency. And they pull out their magnifying glass, and we got this thing projected from a 35 millimeter slide on this huge wall. And they're going over it with magnifying glasses, and they're going, "There's no wires." And I said, "Well, yeah, because it's real. It's a real flying saucer from Como Berenices." Because Paul had met the beings, and they didn't believe it. and they were stunned because of the quality and the clarity, and they were taken during the daytime. I mean, they were stills. 1963 he took them, and yeah, excuse me, and then they wanted a special back to the film again after I left that house, and those guys they didn't know what to think, and I said, well, you guys are just, I told them they were envious because they can't talk about it, but I can. And so I went back to the film again, and we went to Nikon in White Plains, New York. I think they were in White Plains in New York. Yeah, and we wanted a special lens made because we were doing a projection. Even Kodak made up that one piece of aluminum for us, but we wanted to run it through the enlarger so we'd get a better resolution off the film, the Super 8 movie film. And they wanted $100,000 to make one lens back in 1972. Wow. Yeah, and they said, well, the government can't afford that stuff. But I'm just giving you a little bit of a background on it. And the whole time, my dad is in southern New Jersey, and he's doing his lectures. He's going around all southern New Jersey, Philadelphia area, giving the lectures and showing and the slide presentations of the stuff that he's accumulated. He had, I think he had about an hour, almost an hour's program of color slides, and that he had taken from magazines, and also Mr. Villas and other people, and Augie Roberts' stuff, and Time magazine, and or Life magazine, not Time magazine, but Life magazine. But anyway, he wound up losing his eyesight, my dad, so I kind of took over. I was doing his lectures for him. I was living in South Jersey. Those companies went kaput because we lost a government contract. So I was, yeah, it happens, you know. And so I started doing the lectures, and I guess I did it for quite a while, and in New Jersey and in the Philadelphia area, because my dad couldn't get around, and then he had a medical problem, and he went out to live with my sister out in Nevada, and then I moved to South Florida, and I was doing lectures down there and just showing them, and it was a whole new age thing that was going on at the time in the 87 and 88 and 89 era. And it just, people would come down and they would say, well, Mr. Campione has real pictures of flying saucers, because people would show photographs of a clear picture or any picture. And they would just point to the air, which there's nothing there. You got a finger pointing up in the air. And but anyway, after my dad passed, I decided to put the slide presentation on I had a guy in West Palm help me out. He was good at converting film to digital. So well, actually it was VHS tape at the time. And so we took the film and put it on VHS tape, 3/4 inch tape, and we had tapes made from it. And then I sent it off to, it was a documentary of 58 minutes, and I sent it off to a UFO convention in 1993. It was in Las Vegas. I couldn't go out there because I was working. I just couldn't get the time off to go out there. And then I won the award for the best documentary in the world in 1994 on the documentary on flying saucers. It's really pretty neat. It's interesting what I put together, and then I got hooked in with. I started advertising because I'm famous now, kind of famous, and started advertising.
You're well known.
What's that, Mary?
Well, you're well known. You're getting to be well known.
Yeah, I was very well known. Yeah, so you got to capitalize on it. And this guy out of Ontario, Canada, picked me up. He called me, or wrote me a letter. Because I don't even think we were on the internet yet. I didn't have a computer back at that time. No, not in 80 or 94. I might have had a computer, but we didn't have what we have now. And
right.
And he would, yeah, he sent me a letter, and then he had his number, and then I called him, and yada yada. But anyway, Rob McConnell. He owns X Zone Radio and TV show, or at least it was TV. Maybe it was radio, because I quit doing his last September. I said, no more. I was just doing too much, and
Yeah.
he's now in. Or at the time, he was in 130 countries. And I was on his radio show for 29 years, almost twice a month or monthly. Yeah, yeah, talking
Wow.
about flying saucers. Yeah, and I just get tired of it. I mean, I just,
Yeah, sometimes just a change. That's for
yeah,
sure.
and I'm still trying to do my photography at the same time. So I have to survive, because it seemed like every the VHS tapes, everything came out on digital afterwards, and then it went to CDs, and I put out a CD, which is all communication only, and then it went to DVDs, and then I had to transfer it to there, and I had this company help me out, and we transferred the DVDs, and I uploaded it to Amazon, and sales were going pretty good for a while, and then Jeff Bezos, that creep, he goes, and there were so many. So I figured there was either the government got to him, or there were just a lot of people putting movies up there. So what he did, he compressed everything, and people were complaining. He said, "Your DVD is disastrous. What the heck did you do?" And Amazon was they were refunding money, because it was just such a horrible presentation. Whatever they did to it, and I never went in and recorrected it. I just gave up. I can't fight the government anymore. I mean, at the time, I just it's pretty tough to fight them people, and especially when they're holding all the cards, you know.
Right. That's very powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then after that, I went and put out a manual, UFO manual, and a little book, because they can't compress that, they can't ruin that. And then 2 years ago, I upgraded, and I put the color photos in there, 10 color photos, which you can see on Amazon now. And
So is that you said that's not a book, or is it a book?
yeah, it's a book. Yeah, I converted. I put out a book. It's got like 90 some pages in it. Yeah.
What's the name of the book?
Yeah, it's the UFO Spacecraft Identification Manual by David Campione.
We'll have to
Oh,
get that off of. Now, where are you selling that?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, you can see it on Amazon, and you don't even have to. If you want to look at it and flip the pages, I think you can flip them, because the last time I was in there, you could flip the pages, and you could see some of the things in there.
Yeah, they usually have a pretty good preview on there.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They have,
but
they have great book previews. And
Austin,
Yeah.
Austin will want
That's
to.
so interesting.
He'll
Yeah,
want-
but that's what I grew up with. I mean, I've been dealing with this for what's that, 70 years?
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
up
if you-
79 right now. So I mean, you know, and when we first saw my first craft was when I was 12 years old in '56 with 5 other people.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We
so
saw-
what was the story about that? Like, do you want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah, it was just yeah, we were just leaving a Boy Scout a Boy Scout meeting in Philadelphia, and we were walking home. When you were allowed to walk home in the dark at night, you know, this was in the
The
50s.
good old days.
Yeah, the old days. Yeah, now you need escorts and guns and everything to go home. But we stopped on this bridge called the Frankfurt Avenue Bridge, which was above the Pennypack Creek, which flowed down into the Delaware River, which the Delaware River was about, I don't know, 1.5 miles, 2 miles east of where we were standing. And we were just kicking some stones. We were kids. We're 12 years old. We're just kicking stones off and throwing rocks in the water. Because a storm had just passed, and we're standing there looking, and all of a sudden everybody looked up, and we're looking out down the Delaware River, and it looked like the full moon was going down the Delaware River from north to south. That's how big this craft was. And we were approximately, I don't know, let's say 2 miles away. And we estimated that to be about 300 feet in diameter at 2 miles distance.
Oh.
And that was the first one. It was just a beautiful illuminated and craft that was on its side, just like a moon would be. And it had concentric circles around, let's say black, but there were three black circles around it, spaced around the craft. What they're for, I have no idea. I mean, we just happened to see it, and that was my first encounter. Yeah.
Now, is that one in your book?
No, it's not in there at all. No, I didn't have a camera or anything. I didn't even put anything in there, any information about it.
And in that book, do you talk about like what races may have used given spacecraft, or
Yeah.
they okay, like what you know for sure what races may have used different ones, or at least
some of them, because I wasn't privy to all the research that my dad was doing, and in contact with the people, because I mean he was doing his thing and I was doing my thing, and and it somehow it would mesh every once in a while, and but the main one was the Como Bernices one out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. They were Mr. Villa would hear a voice in his head. He'd be working. He was an auto mechanic, and he had a semi-established business. That's how he was surviving. And and he had he was hearing voices and saying, "Paul, get your camera and come out to such and such place." And he told my dad he would come out of the engine, from under the hood of the car and say, "Well, there's nobody here." And he's hearing these voices in his head. He thought he was going crazy. This went on for about 3 weeks, he said. And so he decided to get his camera. He had a Ricoh 35 millimeter, and he shot. I don't know if it was negative film. It was color negative film. So he went out to a specific place at a specific time, which they told him the voice he was hearing, and he went out there, and he can see the craft coming in. It's in the book. You can see different pictures of it. And it came within a quarter of a mile, and it settled, and then it came down. It was in the they didn't land on the ground, and it lowered itself down, and was like a foot off the ground, and then a door opened and a gangway came out. And 9 beings walked out of it, between 7 and 9 feet tall, 5 men and 4 women, beautifully proportioned, just like we are. They're mostly with blonde hair or brown hair, blue eyes, green eyes, and Paul said that each one of them was emanating the corona, or the Christ light. And Paul Paul was a Catholic guy, and he had. He grew up with whatever they told him, and the church, and the Catholic Church, is about the Christ light, if they told him anything about it. But they told Paul. I mean, the synopsis is that they told Paul that they were very familiar with Jesus and what he taught on this planet, because where they're from is they actually teach that same information that they garnered from 2,000 years ago, and because he was such a great person, and they idolized
him. He was amazing.
Yeah, now,
he was incredible.
Yeah, you're standing there, and there's people who are talking to Paul, or he's not talking to him, but he's hearing it in his head. Nobody's communicating verbally like we do, and they're telling him how they idolize Jesus to Christ. The Christ, not Christ, because he didn't have a last name. It was the Christ, because he thought he came down and taught everybody what it was to be Christ-like. And so anyway, Paul had photographs of these beings also. And my dad kept on trying to, like I said, they corresponded for 8 years. And he kept trying to get the pictures of the people, and Paul said, no, they told me, it's not time yet. And Paul wound up dying. So, and his wife, Paul's wife, went and burned all his stuff, all his flying saucer stuff, and because she thought she was going to make a lot of money and become very wealthy and be a queen somewhere. I mean, I don't know, but that's most of the people that my dad had researched that came in contact with extra, or just like we are human beings. Same thing.
Wow. That's crazy.
And,
that's pretty crazy.
And I've had a couple encounters, I think, with people, but I don't except this most recent one. But when I was in, what the heck school was it? I'm trying to think what grade I was in, like 6th grade or something. There was this very how shall I say it? A young lady who was not pretty. Okay, she had thick glasses, and the kids used to pick on her. You know, well, kids do. They always. I mean, I don't know.
Kids are cruel.
They're cruel. You said it. You're right. They would pick on this little girl, and I saw her one day and in the hallway, and I said, I was trying to think of what her name was, and I can't remember her name, and I said, what is going on? She says, I just wish I was back on Mars and I wouldn't have to put up with this stuff. And I'm thinking, Mars? We're in 6th grade. She's talking about Mars, and I never even thought about anything like that. But you know what was fascinating? When did I run into her? So this was in the 50s. And I think I saw her, or I was at some function someplace. It was in the 70s. Like I drove down from northern New Jersey to southern New Jersey. And this young lady, I mean, beautiful. I mean, I couldn't believe this gal. I mean, she should have been a movie star. And she said, I'm that little girl that was in J.H. Brown and J.H. Brown Elementary School in Northeast Philadelphia that I told you that I wish I was on Mars. And I'm looking at this girl, and she says, and all these kids saw me recently, and they couldn't believe how beautiful I am. So she says, I got them good. I got them. And she wouldn't talk to any of them. She said, I'm not going to bother with them. But to me, that was like my first encounter with, I believe it could have been something. And I was helping a guy I used to do engine work with and hot rods with and drag race. I did it. I've done a lot of drag racing in the early years. And I took a break. I was over fishing. It was in Mount Holly, New Jersey, and I was fishing below a waterfall, and I just catch and release. And this guy walked. I mean, there was nothing around. There wasn't a tree within 100 yards. And there's this man who was like, 12:30 in the afternoon, and there's this guy walks up to me. He was smaller than me, and I was 5'10", so he was a little bit smaller than me. And he had a white shirt on. He looked like he worked in an office. He was an executive of some kind, very, very well manicured. His hair was cut. I mean, he just looked like an executive. And he said to me, he says, if you want to catch sailfish, you need to go to Stuart, Florida. And I said, I'm here in Mount Holly, New Jersey. I mean, I never even thought about Stuart, Florida. I mean, it was the furthest thing from my mind.
Stuart, Florida.
and I was casting, and I cast again, and I turned around. The guy's gone, completely gone. Within 100 yards, he was gone within seconds. And I don't know if it was an apparition or what. I mean, I have no idea who this man was.
That's weird you should say that, because me and my wife were walking down the bike trails like a couple weeks back, and we saw these kids out like playing baseball like a couple 100 feet from us. And we looked away for a second as we were walking, and then we looked back and they were gone, but they were gone too quickly to have they couldn't have walked anywhere, because we would have seen them walk. That's kind of what that sounds like what you're describing.
Yeah.
It was like that.
And we were talking about like this town that we live in, Middletown, Ohio.
Okay.
We just see there's 2 people in this town that look like, one looks just like my son, and another one looks like his wife's son. So anyway, I was working out the other night, and I swore Austin's wife's son's named Kevin. And I swore I saw Kevin was, I even texted Austin. I said, is Kevin working at the Y part-time now at night? I mean, Kevin's like about Austin's age. So close.
Yeah.
And I was, did he get a part-time job or something?
Oh my God.
He looked so much like Kevin. I was going to walk over and say something to him, but then, I was getting ready to go swim. And then he walked out in the hall and down the hall. And then Austin texted me back and said, no, but Austin's seen the guy too, but it's like we never get a chance to talk to him, whoever it is. Right. But it looks so much like him. It has his mannerisms. And the one that I saw with, that looks like Austin, I'll see him in a car. I saw him in a car one night and I texted Austin. I said, are you driving? Is something going on? Are you driving April's relative's car or something? Because I swear I saw you on the interstate, get on the interstate. And there's something with this town. I don't know. It's weird. And
you should tell him that story about that Secret Service looking guy you saw.
Oh yeah, this was before I moved here. My husband passed away a few years ago, but before that, we lived about maybe 25 minutes away from this town, and I really didn't know much about it. But my husband and I would come up to the bike trails here in Middletown and take our dogs walks. And then one day we took the dogs a walk, and it was pretty hot, so we decided to go to this like a Dairy Queen place in Post Town, which is right outside of Middletown here, and get the dogs some ice cream and get something to drink. And so we're sitting there, and it's country out here, so you see people come to Dairy Queen with your shorts and all their it's a
casual
weekend.
Yeah, very casual.
Yeah, and so we're sitting there, and I swear this guy pulled up, and it was in a silver car. First off, a pretty nice looking car, but very nondescript. I wouldn't say it wasn't like a Mercedes or something. It was just, I don't even know what kind of car it was. It was just a silver, but very clean looking car. Very nice. And he gets out, and he's wearing his suit with his tie, and he had sunglasses on, but his skin, like, he looked perfect. There did not look, just something about him did not look human, He was too perfect. He has on a suit and shoes and just the whole thing. And I was like, I told my husband, I said, well, I could see maybe, he's on his way somewhere to a meeting and he needs to stop and get something to drink or something. But I said, does he even look real? And he's like, no, he said, and that's when we discussed, we were like, is this something like it looks like something out of Men in Black or something.
Oh my gosh.
And then you overheard some guys talking about stuff like that here in Middletown too.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's a Starbucks in our Kroger's, and my boyfriend was over there, and we're waiting for our coffee like everybody does. And there's these three guys we'd always see there, and I've heard him talking about maybe kind of paranormal stuff, it seemed like. And then I kind of overheard one guy say, there's stuff like that in Middletown where, there's some like, I don't know, he didn't really say UFO stuff, but they were talking about like paranormal stuff and things. And then at my workout one night, this is funny too. There's an older gentleman. He's probably maybe your age, but he's old. He's older, and he's in good shape, and he works out, does weight room and all. So he was in one of our classes, and he left, and we got to talking for a few minutes, and somebody said something about UFOs or aliens, and my instructor said, that older gentleman that was here, he's been in the military, and he swears that there's people in Middletown that just are like among everyone here, and you would not know the difference, that are aliens. And she said, man, is so no nonsense. And you can tell he's very himself. He's friendly. He'll say hi or something, but he's not like a person that you would think, oh, he's making this up, or why would he even mention it? So that was creepy.
How close are you to this, where you live, to Wright Pat?
That's what I was going to say.
Very close.
Oh, okay.
What, 45 minutes on maybe now, or is it an hour?
Middletown was actually named because it's exactly halfway between Cincinnati in Dayton.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's it's a middle. That's why they called it Middletown in the first place, because it's actually halfway between the two. So we're very close to Dayton if we hop on the interstate over here.
In summer,
Yeah, I mean,
in summer,
you know the whole thing about Right Pat, I'm sure.
in summer.
Yeah, there's so much goes on at Wright Pratt, we don't even know about, which we never will either.
Hey,
We
summer.
never will.
Just to let you know too, we can go as long as you want. So if as long as you want to do the interview, you guys, I'll keep it recording. Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let me, yeah, go ahead.
It just seems to me I mean, there's just something different about this town in particular. It seems like I don't know, just some funny stuff. Like I said, I worked at Mime University, Oxford, Ohio, and that's a funny little town too. But it was mostly paranormal stuff I've had happen up there. But when I came here, it's like I'll see people that look like exactly like other people, and there's just hear things. I don't know. I've lived here about 6 years now, but
Okay, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, what do you think about all that, David?
Well, the only thing that I can think of is because you got Wright Pat there, and we have a lot of people who live here who who volunteer their time and come to work here on this planet from other solar systems and other venues or wherever they live. I mean, I've never. The latest one I talked, it was like about what is this, May? Let's see, April, March, April. It was either the end of February or early March. I'm at the grocery store here in Alachua, Florida, which is north central Florida, above a little bit above Gainesville, Florida, and it's on par with the Kroger. I mean, the Publix, they call it a Publix grocery store. And I was talking to my sister, or she told me about this magazine that she saw and didn't buy for me about 1.5 years ago, called Alien Magazine. She saw in the Barnes and Noble bookstore, which is published from the UK. And I thought, well, maybe I'll get a copy of it, or I'll see about it. And I'll run some ads for my UFO manual in the back of it, and because the UK is a little bit more receptive than the US is with a lot of paranormal stuff and UFO stuff. So anyway, I keep looking and looking. I get a small magazine section in this grocery store. So I'm standing there with my arms folded, and I'm looking at the magazines. There's it's about 20-foot wide section, and probably what is it, 7 feet tall. And I'm looking at the magazines, and I'm thinking I'm looking for this magazine in my mind called Alien. And this lady, I didn't even know she was behind me. This lady taps me on the back, and she goes, "What are you looking for? That Alien magazine?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "How did?"
Kidding.
And she says, "Oh." She says, "We've been here a long time." Well, I said, "Wait a minute. What do you? Let's back up here now. Wait a minute. Let's back up." And the woman was smaller than me, and I was trying to picture. She was brunette. She was probably in her mid to late 50s.
Yeah.
Her face was flat, like I don't know if you ever seen Korean faces. A Korean, in the Far East, their faces are generally flat, and that's what her face reminded me of. But her eyes were round; they weren't almond shaped, so they didn't have the as we called them, the slant. And I said, "Well, wait a minute." I said, "Back up here." And I said, I was looking for this Alien magazine. How did you know I was looking for it? She says, "Oh, we've been here for as long as the planet's been here with civilization." And I go, "Well," I said, "Wait a minute. What do you mean we? What are you talking about?" But and she didn't get into anything. And then she says, "Oh, and Roswell. You know about Roswell?" I said, "Yeah, I know about Roswell." She says, "Well, I was down there and I got my driver's license." I said, "What are you talking? Or ID card?" And it says she's an alien and she's a citizen of the United States or New Mexico. And I'm going,
well, and that's what that kind of guy, that guy that was talking at where I exercise at, it sounded like, you know, they kind of just blend in with our society and we don't know.
Absolutely.
But they're supposed to be able to read your thoughts without,
yeah. And that's what she was doing. She read my thoughts on the magazine. Yeah. And it was a brief encounter. It couldn't have been, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes at the tops. And she says, well, I got to get some shopping done because they got to eat. You know, I guess they have to eat. And then and I said,
do they? I don't know.
And I said to her, I said, what do you mean we? I answered that question for me. How many how many are you talking? And she just went on her way and disappeared. I looked around the corner and she was gone. So with her pushing her cart. But anyway, one of the things that's in the manual, and we don't know where they were from, the beings, but my dad worked with a guy in the factory from Maple Shade, New Jersey, and two couples, this guy Ziggy and his wife, I forget his wife's name, and another couple, they were driving down through Cherry Hill, New Jersey, heading to a Camden County hospital to visit a sick friend in the hospital, and as they're driving along, and they look over RCA. You've heard of RCA, Radio Corporation of America? Yeah, huge company. And anyway, they had what do you call it? An executive or high tech place, a building in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which wasn't a factory. I mean, it was just all clean in there. It was a clean environment for working people, and well, they looked and they saw this craft sitting on the roof. Well, they kind of saw something sitting on the roof of this building, an RCA Victor. So they went to the hospital and they came back, and they visited with the lady, and they're driving back. It was like probably, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and there's the craft that they saw. They pulled off on the shoulder of the road. It's 400 feet long, this craft, and it's teardrop shaped, and it's in the book. The illustrations in the book of what they saw, and there's a gangplank. It's not resting on the building, and it's a gangplank, and it's going down, and they pull off on the shoulder of the road, and they get out of the car, and they're watching people walk from the craft down to the roof of the building, and they would disappear. So I guess they were going inside the RCA building, and they're standing there wondering what the heck. And Ziggy was a bombardier in World War II, so he knew observation of aircraft. He says, because he told my dad, Mike, he said I've never seen anything like this. It was teardrop shaped, 400 feet long. That's how big this building was. This building of the RCA building in Cherry Hill, and it wasn't no tripods, no nothing, and it's at night. It's a nighttime thing, and the thing's all illuminating, and there's lights all around the middle of the craft, and the gangplank, and they could see people going in and out. Well, they're standing there in awe of what's going on, and a security guard comes out from the RCA building and walks down the driveway and says, "You guys get out of here. What are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, there's this big craft up here." He says, "You don't see anything. You're not supposed to be even stopped here." And the security guard ran him off. And what their mistake was, they told my dad about it, but that wasn't the mistake. They went to the local newspaper, and the paper published their address in there.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. And the people were running, and they're throwing rocks and bottles and stuff through their house, and they're saying, "Oh, you people are all crazy" and everything. But the whole story was that because my dad was so well known in that area for his research, a truck driver had an accident and crashed his tractor and trailer, and because he saw the same thing. And the New Jersey State Police came, and then they took his truck away, and he got, because he would park the truck in a parking lot near there because he couldn't take it to his home. And the New Jersey State Police towed the truck away and went to a body shop, which he picked up 3 days later, free of charge. And then he contacted my dad and told him about what he had seen. It was the same exact teardrop-shaped craft on top of the RCA building. And then another couple crashed into a pole because they couldn't believe what they were seeing up on another road on an overpass. So there were two accidents and an observation, and everybody was observing this craft, and nobody knows what they just look like human beings. What they could see of the people going in and out of the craft. Now where they were from, who knows? We don't know.
Now I know there was paranormal story about do you remember watching that, Austin? It was the guys in the helicopter. Were they security or something at GE in Cincinnati? I think they were doing security in a copter. I think they were police officers.
Yeah, they were like copter cops or something.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Evendale, which is GE in Cincinnati, which is a big company then.
Oh, GE, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Huge company,
so,
yeah.
They were up in their copter, and they thought at first it was another helicopter or something, but they tried to go after it, and it was, both of them said it was like a flying saucer. I can't remember all the details of the story. It's been a while since I watched it, but and they're retired now. I don't even know if they're both alive. It's been a while, but they became friends because they know what they saw that night, and they said it was flying saucer.
Wow.
And they, because it disappeared, it just took off.
Yeah.
Like they did turn around and kind of saw it, and then it was just gone. But there's, in this area, especially in, I don't know if it's
strange lights, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
There's some
my God.
But Southwest Ohio is a strange area. Roger and I talked about that. And then, I was actually watching a TV show where a trucker said, the worst place to drive is through Ohio.
Really?
He said Northwest Ohio.
I agree. I agree.
But he said it's just the creepiest.
Because Roger used to be a trucker, so he has a little bit to say on this.
I'm an amateur trucker. If you want to know a real trucker, talk to my dad. But
okay,
Ohio.
But here, well, go on. I'm sorry.
Ohio. That's one thing I wanted to ask you, Dave. With all your travels and stuff, what's your take on Ohio, just in general, when it comes to the UFO and paranormal stuff?
Just what I hear on Right Pat, that they took the Roswell bodies up there, and somehow I don't know if they got the craft. I didn't know there was anything left of the spacecraft itself. From what I know, they were just bits and pieces. I think I mentioned last week that that my dad had information that the Roswell crash happened because of the White Sands atomic testing that they did, and then knocked out what they would travel, like our interstates in the atmosphere. They can travel, I mean, when were they clocked in the early 50s at 18,000 miles an hour in our atmosphere? I mean,
wow.
So they travel in some kind of, I don't know what they travel in. I've never been privy to something like that.
To withstand that kind of G-force, their craft would have to emit some kind of force field to because their bodies wouldn't be able to handle it at that speed, I would think. So it's technology we're definitely not familiar with.
That I don't know. I've never been on one yet. I've say yet. I haven't been on one yet. But
I don't know if you want to be.
But
it depends.
The only thing that I do know, which my dad conveyed to me, and I didn't have it personally, so I'm going from what his information was, because he was kind of psychic and in tune with some people also, and he's the large craft. And now there's the cigar-shaped craft. They're from a mile to 10 miles to 100 miles in length. And whatever species, when they construct these, I can't even imagine building something like this. I mean, even a mile in length or 10 miles in length.
That almost, something that big almost sounds like a mothership of some sort.
Well, that's what it was. Yeah, they're motherships. Yeah. Now the motherships, when they're constructed, the cigar ships, that's what they call them, the cigar shape. When they're completely constructed, from what I've been told, somehow they take them to a spot in this universe, and there's somehow with the people who are going to live aboard that, and with the God force or the energy force, they don't use God as a person. They use they say that God is a universal being and an energy being. That's what they're.
That's how I think of. That's kind of how I think of God.
Yeah.
Like and, everything that, not really a person, but everything that is, and from the source from which everything stems.
Yep. And there's somehow with the people on board that they infuse, or the energy, the God force puts all this energy into this mothership, and with the people, and so they're able to control it by thought pattern. Now, that's the only way that I know how they can do stuff, and then to flip around and do all those 90-degree turns at 20 or 100,000 miles an hour, and from what we know of it, and why nothing happens, I don't know. Like I said, I've never been on one, and the only ones that I have seen they never did any of those right angle turns, and that's what
the two police officers were saying in Cincinnati, is how it turned and it was just like gone.
Yeah.
It wasn't another plane or anything.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they just phase out too. They appear and disappear.
Yeah.
They could still be there.
No, I had an interesting conversation with Bob Dub. I just finished a series with her on dualities, and we went over. Well, I think I talked to Dave about this on their show, but like the weird part is I found out that bees are probably one of the only creatures on Earth that can do that quick right turn like that. It's their wings, the trajectory. They can literally change their trajectory at a moment's notice,
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It has hummingbirds too.
Yeah. My brother mentioned the hummingbirds. My brother mentioned that.
We were talking about trucks, though. I mean, like here where we live right by the interstate. So the trucks come here, and they park over in there's a parking lot that has like a big lots, and the truckers hop over there and sleep, sleeper cabs. So that's always interesting,
Yeah, but some of the craft, I'm honest with you, I've seen them come and they just disappear. Or that first one, it was just going so fast. I mean, we don't even know how fast it was going, and all 6 of us saw it. And I was driving in northeast corner of Pennsylvania. I was coming back from a week of fly fishing. We used to camp up there on the upper Delaware, and just forget the whole world. All the kids that I grew up with in the neighborhood, and we would just camp. There'd be 8 of us, and we would just stay in the tents and fly fish in the upper Delaware River. And I was driving home through the country, and well, you know what a silo looks like, tall silos.
Yeah.
And I'm driving through this farm area, and there's you guys are country, you know it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm driving it through, and there's like a farmhouse or a barn on one side. There's a little farmhouse, and I'm just on this little two-lane road, and I go down the hill, and I come up on the hill, and I and there's like it looked like a top of a silo, a complete globe. That's what I'm saying. It was all solid gold, and it just appeared and just went. I mean, it was like 2 seconds. It went right in front of my truck, my Blazer,
Wow.
and just
Wow.
disappeared. And I'm going, what the heck was that? You know?
Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you never know when you're going to see something. You just don't know. And as a photographer, I 98% of the time I have a camera with me, but the times I've seen them, I never had a camera with me. So.
Yeah. Well, and when they go away so quickly, it's hard to get something anyhow. At least
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
spacecraft type things. Yeah.
Now, you being a camera person or photographer, I should say, there's a good question that I'd like to ask you concerning photography.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, with a lot of this new age stuff, with the paranormal and everything, what's your feelings about people taking snapshots of UFOs and ghosts with like their cell phones and everything that's digital compared to the old camera?
Yeah. Well, I've seen some interesting stuff, and what Roger, I started out with a 35 millimeter when I was in Vietnam, a Canon rangefinder, and I immediately jumped into you know what a view camera is, where you put the cloth over your head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I used for 35 years. And
Really.
yeah, and that's how I made my living, traveling around this country with that big camera. And anyway, it was only a 4x5, but it had 5 lenses with it, and I still have it. Anyway, what I did on research, and I'm trying to think who the people were in the 1800s, and I was trying to photograph some paranormal stuff where people were laying on the hands of or touching, healing the auras of people sitting in a chair. And I couldn't get anything. I tried different cameras and the film cameras, and I brought out my view camera, and I tried it in black and white only, in black and white film, and I tried different exposures, and some psychic was there and said, the people are waving at you and everything. Well, I don't see anything. So, and I didn't get anything on film, but what I did find out, which I did more research. Back in the 1800s, where there was a lot more, and it was a lot more credible, they used a quartz lens in their camera. And go find a quartz lens today, and you forget it. They just I was doing this in 1980s, so just to let you know. So that's when I was attempting this back 40 some years ago, and. So I tried my best, and I couldn't find a quartz lens, so I was not successful. But the stuff that I see now, I don't know. I don't believe it. I mean, most of the stuff I don't believe, because one guy sent me a few years ago, and I don't know if you ever saw it on the internet. It was we've seen Star Wars, right? You know what the Millennium Falcon is, right? With Harrison. Okay, we all know the Millennium Falcon. And they showed this Millennium Falcon flying over this tropical island here in the Caribbean someplace, or in Hawaii or Fiji Islands, and it's things zooming all around, and I'm thinking, that's it. I'll never believe anything again that I see on because it looks so real.
Like Photoshop and stuff, and some video editor, it's made it possible to make like some real spectacular stuff, just for the everyday person now.
But Roger, just get back to your question again. Is most of the stuff that I have seen, nothing is. I don't know why people can't hold it steady, because I know I photograph wildlife. I mean, at least I was. I'm taking 2 weeks off because of my eye, and. And there's people who go out there and with 800 millimeter lenses, and they're digital, and they're doing all, and they have a sturdy tripods, and their videos are great. But when I look at all these other stuff, these aberrations that they as a CIA always called it artifacts. That's what they used to call it back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s, was artifact. And I don't see anything that excites me. Everything I see is out of focus. I don't even know what I'm looking at. And I got into an argument with a guest that was on here last week. But we didn't argue last week, but it was months ago on Mark's show about his work. John Bell.
Yeah.
Have you looked at his work?
I did a talk with him on WOW Talk and everything, and after I thought you guys acted pretty good together whenever you were. I think you were in the chat, weren't you?
Yeah.
You guys were gentlemen with one another.
Oh yeah. Well, I have nothing to lose anymore. You know?
Yeah, we all misbehave, especially when we get older. You know, it's like like you said, we ain't got nothing to lose anymore. So.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we all got our own mind, our own ideas, and things that we've experienced in life, and.
Right. You know, I don't know if it's really off topic, but not really. I mean, I think you were here last week when I discussed this, how now when you're going online to pay the bills and some of the stuff that they want you to give a thumbprint, or like they want you to put your eye, or they want to do the voice recognition, and there's really nothing
about that.
Yeah, there's nothing out there to protect us as the consumer. No. Just like they kind of take it. But I was talking, you know, how it ties in with AIs. Why couldn't they just take those things, which are very, very individual to us, that makes us who we are? Just that, you know, that's our kind of our footprint. Why couldn't they take those things and put them in AI? You wouldn't even know the difference then.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing. That's what they say when you ever answer your phone. Somebody says, "Is this Summer here?" And you should never say yes. Never say yes, because somehow they use that to. I don't know how they can do it, and they get your credit, they get your bank and credit card information, and they can use your voice. They duplicate your voice and say, "Yes, I am so and so."
Well, see, that's how they're doing it, because, like I said, like last week, I said I went into the bank credit card, and they were like, "Are you tired of losing your password? Then you can do voice recognition." So if the company gets that, then if anybody can do that, you know, they can get into my account.
Absolutely.
Or same with the thumbprint. I don't know how they can get your thumbprint, but you know they probably can. I mean, if you put that stuff on a record. And we all know that companies aren't always, what do you call it?
Above board.
Oh, they're all honest. Come on, guys.
Well, I was getting emails from AT&T. Now, I gave up. I tell you how long ago it was. I had an iPhone 3G. So. Wow. So that was quite, but they're at 15 now. So we're going back 12 generations practically, or 12 times of the iPhone. And I got it through AT&T. And about a month ago, I started getting AT&T emails, and I'm thinking, well, what the heck are they contacting me for? Because I was an account holder there, and I got rid of my iPhone, what was it, 8 or 9 years ago, and they still have my records. And somebody went in and hacked 70 million, took out 70 million names, social security numbers, emails, and everything else from AT&T.
I got a letter from AT&T about that, not about a month ago.
Okay.
That there was like a data set sold on the dark web that might, and I think that's around the time that so-called outage happened. You remember the outage that happened earlier this year?
That's right.
I think that was more of a data breach disguised as an outage.
Yeah, I got that same letter. Yeah, I got the same
Okay.
letter. Yeah.
And you don't even know if that's a scam. That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like having a number attached to me, but I much rather would have a number that I could change or get rid of rather than a thumbprint or the picture of my eye or
Now,
like.
now don't worry. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. They're eventually going to put microchips in all of our heads to solve all this. Okay.
That's what they want. Yeah.
See, he's catching on. He's doing what I usually do. Like, I'm usually the devil's advocate, and now Austin's taking the torch up.
Good.
Roger's rubbing off on me.
Oh, don't say that.
But though, Austin, how easy it's like the scammers, if they can replicate your voice, then they get into your account.
Yeah.
And how can you stop that? How can you?
No,
stop
you can't.
That?
You can't.
You can change the social security number. It's not easy, but I know that you can take that away. But you can't take that individual, like your, that's your thumbprint. That's your. That's scary. That is some scary stuff.
Yeah.
And they've got it out there now, and then they're doing. I just noticed in the last couple months, all the stuff is changing with online accounts and how they're doing passwords. There's just something changing in a massive way. And how they do paperless at all, or they'll charge you $3 a statement, or.
Oh yeah, I have one checking account that does that all the time. Yeah, they charge me $3 every time. Statement.
Well, but if you go online, if you set up your online account, they won't do that, and that's okay right now while we're using passwords. But what if they start making us all like, oh, well, you can't get into your online account unless you use your thumbprints or your voice recognition? I don't want to do that.
Or your Neuralink.
Elon Musk is going to send them in the mail.
Yeah. We got a Neuralink mandate. We got to put Neuralinks in our heads so we can buy and sell and function in society.
Well, what I've been experiencing a lot is the two what do you call it? The two-thing authentication. So,
two-factor authentication.
Yeah, because I'll go and log on and I'll mistype something and they'll say, oh yeah, we got it, So they'll call my cell number, and then they'll send me a number to go in there so I can get back into the site again.
Yeah, so we had at Miami University for our pay stubs and our tax. It made me so mad for our tax stuff, our tax form.
Yeah.
I'd have to go in there, and it was always a nightmare, and I didn't like it. But yeah, the only way you could get into your W-2 statement was to do that. There's just creepy stuff out there. And my boyfriend doesn't like a lot of that stuff. So you know how they sell your house payments to different banks all the time?
Right, I've heard that. Yeah.
So his house payment got sold to this new bank, and he just, all he wanted to do, he thought they'd help him, is everything should have transferred over, and he has the payments taken out automatically. He does do that. But they wouldn't do it. Like they said that they wanted him to do an online account, and he said, I don't want to do an online account. So they said, we'll send you the paperwork, but they never sent him the paperwork. And so his house payment is going to be behind. So finally I told him, I said, I can do this with you. I said, let's walk through it. So we went through it and we did it, and everything was fine. But it was like, he said he didn't get the paperwork for another 3 weeks. And he said, they're just dragging me out because they don't want me to do this like on paper.
Wow.
They want to do it online.
Yeah, they're slow walking it on purpose.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Yeah. I don't bank. I don't do any of that on mine. I mean, I order stuff, and if somebody, I get my credit cards hijacked all the time, and I don't care because I don't pay for it.
Really?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Now,
how do you manage that? What?
No. Just so you guys know, you're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes. So if you want to keep going, it's cool. But I just figured I'd let you know.
I'm fine. It's up to you guys.
So with your credit cards, like, I mean, you can close them. I mean, if they're, you have to find out they're hacked.
Yeah.
But
Well, it was the weirdest thing. A year ago, somebody hacked. I ordered something online. It seems like every time I order something out of California, I always somehow they always grab my credit card. I have one credit card that I never leaves the house. It's just for online ordering. And
Yeah.
and anyway, I get this thing from UPS and says we're going to make a delivery to your house, and I'm thinking, and I put it into spam because I figured it was a spam thing. Well, the next day I get this package. Yeah, but I get for 4 days in a row, somebody had hacked my credit card and was sending me the product
What are they sending?
from 4 different companies.
That's something weird that was happening.
It's so weird.
This has happened here around Middletown and some areas, and I don't know if it's been happening recently, but it was something I read on Facebook, I think. These people said they would just get these packages of stuff they never ordered, like maybe some flower seeds or just weird stuff, and they weren't ever charged for them, but they came to their address. And people were saying, we're getting these random weird things, and people were saying, don't trust that there's something going on.
Yeah.
Me and my wife got a package that we never ordered for an address that didn't exist. Remember that, Mom?
Yeah, and they were trying to take it back to what, UPS, and UPS wouldn't take it.
Oh, they wouldn't take it?
Yeah, they wouldn't even. They wouldn't take it.
They didn't. It wasn't their problem. So then April, what'd she do? Did she take it to the mail, post office, or something? Nobody would take it back.
Wow.
I think she took it to the post office or something.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get anybody to take the package back.
Well,
and it was.
Well, one package that I got was for beauty products. Well, I don't use beauty products, but and the phone number was on there, so it was out of California. So I called the guy in the afternoon because we had a 3-hour time difference, and I made sure that it was like 10 in the morning, whatever, or noon their time, and I told him, I said, I asked him, I said, who ordered this product? And he goes, What are you talking about? So I gave him the invoice number and everything. And I said, guess what? And he said, what's that? I said, my credit card company, because I was hacked, is going to go in and suck that money right out of your account. And he got all mad and he slammed the phone down because they had a scam going. And they weren't supposed to send it to me. And they never thought anybody would call him. See, I call them. I did 7 years as a forensic photographer at a prosecutor's office, doing autopsies and stuff and crime scenes and things like that back in the 80s. And so I don't care. All I want to do is get a hold of them, get their address, and I'll send the police. I'll call the police out in their town and go and lock them up. You can do that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And,
that's good to know. If something like that happens, I'll call them.
Absolutely. If they have their return address on there, and just you can look up the address on the internet and just get their phone number and then call the police and tell them
you can even have them. You can even have them locked up in California.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't know there was still law and order out there.
Well, let's say a year ago there was. I don't know about now.
Yeah. It seems to be getting worse, like on a weekly basis, from what I understand.
Yeah.
The package you had address, didn't Austin? Because that would have been, they could have done that, but there wasn't one on that or something.
Oh,
there was
yeah.
What, the one we got?
Yeah.
Well, the phone number comes on your credit card statement of who they called, the 800 number for that company, and that's how I got that's how I got the phone number when I got my statement, and I said, what is this stuff? and that's when I called them. Yeah, normally the phone numbers are on there. Yeah, but you work at now, Summer, you work at the university. Let me tell you a horror story.
Well, I did certain horror stories, but
I did security at the University of Florida for a few years, and in the early '90s, I needed a job. I needed money because the whole photography industry was changing from film to digital, and I had no income. And anyway, they got hacked, the University of Florida. And unbeknownst to me or anybody else, they didn't tell anybody. They took the names and addresses and social security numbers of 90,000 people who were employed at the University of Florida. Okay. So here unbeknownst to me, I'm trying to be legal and everything. So I had my concealed weapons permit, which I already had. And so I went to purchase a new handgun at one of the local gun shops, and I fill out the form and I send it. I have no problems and everything. I get home and I got to call the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. My social security number was one of the 3 that this guy used. He was in jail. The FBI or somebody had him in jail, and they wouldn't issue the gun until.
Yeah, you can get arrested and stuff for crimes you didn't commit and stuff if people steal your identity and barred from buying guns and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about this too.
It got straightened out, and I have I got a letter from the Department of Justice out of Washington D.C. I had to go over to D.C. to get I mean, not go, but I had to deal with Washington to get the letter.
Oh God, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but it
You had to deal with the swamp.
Universities are notoriously lax with that stuff, because I was talking about there was a breach at Miami. There was a G and an S drive, and this student got on. The S drive was supposed to be, where all their students' information or any information was on there. It was heavily password protected, but there was a G drive, which was a public drive where you could just put flyers and stuff on.
Yeah.
This student got onto the S drive because everybody was always getting those two things confused, new employees and stuff. So he gets on the S drive, and there's all these social security numbers and students' IDs and all that stuff out there. And boy, he was mad, and then so the university had a problem, and they had to send letters to everybody that their stuff had been compromised. And actually, Austin and my daughter had applied there, but she didn't go, and Austin was there for a little bit. So yeah, their stuff was compromised. I'm like,
now, Austin, let me ask you something. Have you done anything with the AT&T letter that you got? Have you contacted the 3 credit companies that they mentioned?
I haven't yet, but should I?
I wouldn't. Do you think he should?
Well, I would contact AT&T to make sure it's legitimate first.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure. And then contact, because if they already got it, what do you have to lose? There's
true.
Nothing you have to lose.
Now,
they got your information. My boyfriend got like a text or something saying, your stuff has been compromised, and he just deleted it because it was like in his junk mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to find out what AT&T's number is or something and call them just to make sure the whole thing is even legit. And they gave me an offer to join, like LifeLock security services where they protect you from.
Yeah, I won't do that. No.
They gave me they said you can get free membership to AT&T's LifeLock program to protect your identity, and that was kind of suspicious to me.
Yeah, that is suspicious. Yeah, I would check with them first. In fact, that's what I have to do yet. I just haven't had. I have till the middle of August to do something. So.
I just don't understand how everybody's jumping on this LifeLock freaking bandwagon. Just make a big list so that they can freaking have you organized into a big list when they hack you.
That's what it is.
Did you see the new thing Match is doing? And I don't know. Well, it's probably some other dating websites too, but I watched it on TV. This lady lost her husband, so she goes on to Match, and she meets this guy that's supposed to be really cool, and she's actually dating him, but turns out he was scamming her, and he intimidated her. She gave him all this money. And then he said, well, you're involved with these other people now too. And he was like, she was part of the scam. She found out that she was given money. She was like laundering money to these other people.
Oh my gosh.
For
Wow.
him, like, you know, for the scam. And so
Yeah.
she got scared, and she thought that, you know, she was going to get arrested. So she kept giving him money. And I guess, you know, but then he ended up, when she ran out of money, he killed her. And her daughter didn't know this was going on. They found her like in a river. And they found this letter that she'd written about she couldn't do this anymore because she was going to go to prison. And so the scammers are working with people to help more scammers.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, I was online one time, and I was on this one website, and it said the website was illegal, and the FBI had just flagged it, and they wanted me to go get this reloadable card to keep from going to prison for 10 years or some shit. And I was like, yeah, it was a scam thing. They were trying to get me to give them their information and go load up one of those reloadable credit card things to pay them. That was that kind of thing.
Now this like must have been loaded, because she ended up losing $500,000. It seemed like at first with the boyfriend, and then when he got her on board some more. I mean, she was almost completely penniless before she ended up dead. So it's the stakes are higher now.
Yeah.
When, they're working with the scammers, especially on dating websites, and they have no laws in place or anything to protect you on those.
No, they don't care because they're all paid off in D.C.
Yep.
They could
All
stop
bought
it.
and paid for.
They could stop it right this weekend, but they don't, because they're all in the take up there. They're all crooks. They're all crooks up there.
You know, they all say, you know, like these news channels and stuff will try to interview. They interviewed somebody that's ahead of match, and you know, he's like, oh, you know, we screen everybody, and they don't do anything. You are not.
No, they don't.
You might as well just go out on the street and pick somebody up.
Just hand out a form and have them fill it out, and then you'll know who they are.
And you know,
Yeah.
you tell people so much on those things. If you've ever been in and looked at all the stuff you put, and then sometimes if you've ever put a picture in there, they can be using your picture to scam someone else, you know.
Yeah,
to
right.
get-
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
for me, when it
And-
comes to these media people, though, I think they're just idiots, to be honest with you. Because, like, okay, for example, I'm on Minds.com, okay, and I have issues with a lot of changes that are going on there.
Okay.
So I freaking was on my show talking to Tan and Mark, and I don't think that they're involved in any of the stuff that I think. But they set up a freaking interview, you know, like a round table with people that are, you know, involved in mines and stuff. And I was thinking, you know, they're going to get on there and ask a lot of the hard-hitting questions that the mine members would want to hear, but they didn't. They just went right through the routine shit, you know. And these are people that I freaking work with. It was just they people don't seem to want to ask those hard-hitting questions, you know what I mean? They want to just smooth it over with the routine questions so that the guys can just say whatever they want to say instead of what they need to say. That's my take on it. They're just idiots. And I'm sorry, I'm not calling Tan or freaking Mark an idiot.
No, we understand. We understand.
And that's why our government's not working for us now, is because the media is always covering for them.
Yep.
To continue all that corruption up there.
Yeah. Yes.
I think our media just, they feed us the dumbest stuff. They act like we're kindergartners and we can't figure it out. And not to get into politics or who I'm going to vote for or anything, but like with Trump, I really don't care that much for him, but some people do, so whatever. But with Trump, they were talking on the you know, Stormy Daniels.
Oh yeah.
How she asked all these questions that they've had on the media and comedians are talking about. Oh, like he likes his daughter, or did she ask about his wife? She's a hooker. She's not going to ask about his wife.
That's right.
I'm sure he didn't say he liked his daughter with her. And there was this, I'm like, that's stupid. I don't like him, but come on. And then JFK, the one that's supposed to be the what's his name, Austin the third, party.
RFK Jr.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in Louisiana. Yeah, senator.
They said, oh, well, he's got a brain worm. He had a brain worm, so now he's as old and decrepit as the other two we have running. Oh my God. Oh my God, like we believe that because, just because, so they're trying to discredit him. And it's just all the time. It's like, come on, they just.
It's not so.
It's like
it's not so much the
kindergarten movie or something.
It's not so much that the media thinks we're or acts like we're kindergartners. It's that they really think we are. They really think we're that stupid.
Is this real? And some of the stuff they even say about Biden, I'm like, come on, it can't be real, I mean, a lot of it's not. They just put it out there, and they know some people are going to take off with it, like I don't know. I remember when COVID came up.
Hey, you need to stay up later so you can go on these guys' show, because I'm gonna tell you right now, you'll fit in perfect with that right there. I mean, ask David. Ask David. Yeah. Isn't that right, David? They'd fit perfectly in with your guys' show, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, with Mark. Yeah, we're up till midnight sometimes. Yeah.
They just.
Oh, this is something that I don't know why I thought of this, but when you're speaking about aliens, and I guess maybe thinking about politics and maybe COVID, my neighbor, she's very, very old. She's probably almost 90. She was saying that, the people that got the COVID shot, like if you put a quarter on their arm, that it'll just stay there. So they think it's
really?
Yep.
Like they've been magnetized.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I got a friend in Germany, and she always says that she's in her late 80s, and she said, because I never got any shots. I refuse them. I don't do them. I don't do shots.
Me too.
And she says, well, just tell the people who got shots and that they're going to die. Just tell them they're going to die. Well, they're all dying. I mean, look at these young people that are dying. They're these sports people. They're dropping over because they got the shots.
Well,
you read about it almost every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear about it all the time. These young kids having heart attacks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's normal. It's normal. Just
seem to break bones and stuff so easily because my boyfriend's into sports, and he's like, "What is wrong with these people now?" He said, because he used to play basketball. He's like, it's like they're breaking ankles and all kinds of stuff. He said, we didn't have that many injuries.
No, I don't remember either. When I was younger, they didn't have it. Well, maybe it's everybody's too soft today, or their diet. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
That's part of it.
No, but
oh, that's right. We're not supposed to. Oh, geez.
Well, but you don't think putting a microchip like that?
Yeah,
that's what she. That's what
I would not be surprised because
well,
technology that's microscopic. So,
some guy
that's not too far fetched.
Yeah, I just read on yesterday. It was some guy said he's going to give his body to Elon Musk so he can put the chips in his brain or something. I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
he's crazy.
It's crazy. That's why
there's something bad wrong.
I've been in the woods since '89, so that's I'm literally in the woods. You have no idea where the wooded area that I live in. Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to turn us into aliens. Maybe they are aliens. They're giving us shots, and we turn into aliens. Or
no, you're just gonna die. You're gonna die. There even the what is it, the morticians, they say their veins that are pulling out, it looks like spaghetti they're pulling out of the veins. They can't even embalm the people correctly because of who had the shots.
Some of those clots that they're finding.
Exactly. It's the whole thing's crazy. I don't know. I refuse it.
Always a shot. Like now they want to, like, you can be 30 and they're like, get the shingle shots. Now it used to be for people older.
Yeah.
But now it's like, hey, you need to get the shingle shots. You know. if you're even near 50. What?
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
But the big pharma does. So
Yeah, that's right.
And that's a whole nother thing, big pharma and all the stuff they do
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
It's
big pharma's your friend. They care people.
yeah, they all they want is your money. Yeah, just keep sending more money. Keep buying. Just keep buying stuff.
Well, you
Yeah, we
know,
need your money.
Probably.
No, all you get, the worst thing I get out of here are the Florida Panthers, Eastern Diamondback rattlesnakes, the coral snakes, the bobcats, and wild hogs.
Oh, so
And
you
they're
got some.
really dangerous, wild hogs. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah, the wild boars. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, well, if they are, they're dead because everybody shoots them around here.
you know what we have here, Roger, is the Ohio grassman. It's just Ohio. I think it's only in Ohio, isn't it? Also, no, I saw it on some show with those things. They said
Yeah.
the grassman.
Yeah, it was on like the it was on like the Monsters and Mysteries in America or something. There was like the Ohio grassman.
Well, you know, they say there's a New Jersey devil up in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, and I've hunted that area when I was in high school. And I used to walk around there. That woods was not in certain areas with a gun club or something with a double barrel 12 gauge, a side by side 12 gauge shotgun for deer hunting. And I never saw anything out there in the woods. You know, nothing.
I'll tell you.
Oh, I'd never heard of that.
You talking about New Jersey or Florida?
New Jersey devil.
Oh, that
Okay.
could be. Yeah, nothing surprises me anymore. I haven't been back in that state, and I left there in like in the mid '80s, so or '86, '87. I left. Yeah, '87. Yeah, in that
I'll tell
area.
you, a pretty place around here is Hocking Hills, Ohio. There's you go up there and you can stay in cabins and it's overpriced and all that stuff. But Hocking Hills, I went up there with my husband for a few days, and we were out. They have like a hot tub, so we're sitting out there having a little wine, and you can hear the frogs and you can hear everything out there in the nightlife. And all of a sudden, it just everything stopped. And I was like, I just looked at him. I was like, what is going on? Just nothing, no noise. And it was like probably about 10 minutes. And we knew something was out there. And I don't know what, but, it's a creepy place. It's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the cabins and stuff are.
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's how you find where they're at, so you can track them down.
Well, if they exist, though, I do believe they're in Hocking Hills. And actually, I saw a show on TV about it where this, a lot of people go up there in groups just so they can afford a nice cabin. And family up there, and they heard something in the woods, and they thought it was like Bigfoot. And they went out and they saw a footprint. They did have a picture of it. That's all
wow. Yeah.
But,
yeah, there's a Mark. Mark had this lady, Lee Triana Brown. It was called Family Spirit International Radio that he did for years with her, and she went out and got involved with commercial work now. And but anyway, when she was a young lady, a little girl, her family was camping somewhere south of me where I live. Of course, I wasn't living here, but they were south of where I'm at now, and the campground, and they heard something. and her dad went out there, and her dad was into wildlife and everything. So, and it was a swamp ape that was trying to get in their camper.
Oh my God.
But that's what he saw, you know. I mean, yeah. And she used to talk about it on the radio every once in a while. There was this, it wasn't a Bigfoot, but they call them here in Florida swamp apes.
You know, that stuff exists. I just wonder why we never find the dead bodies. You know, I know there's a lot of woods and stuff, but you would think we'd find something more than we do.
Well, the coyotes eat everything. I find my back on my property. I mean, the woods are really thick, and I only go out there when it's really cold because I can't see the snakes, and I don't want to step on a 7-foot rattlesnake. And but there, I find bones out there, and I don't even know what they are. They could be deer or hogs or whatever. So if somebody's eating, I figure it's a coyote. I got a lot of coyotes too here, so
that could be.
We got it all. We got it all here. I mean,
I think as big as the world is, there's got to be some stuff out there we just don't know about, some species and stuff. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And species we thought were extinct that aren't. There's that too.
Yeah, they're finding even fish. I mean, in the oceans, they're finding fish that they never knew existed. You know, weird stuff. And no. And what the heck was it, Roger? I think we were talking about it, the pterodactyls last week or the week before. There was there was somebody in Pennsylvania, not far from a friend of mine in Feasterville area, outside of Philadelphia, the northeast side, that they posted a few years ago a picture of a pterodactyl in the air, and I didn't know whether it was real or not, so I never really got too excited. I just looked at it, and it was a black and white image, and it was this huge pterodactyl flying up. It was above the Pennsylvania Turnpike because they live near the Turnpike, and it wasn't that high. I mean, it looked like it was about 50 feet above the treetops, cruising along. I mean, it was a still picture. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So you just don't know.
Right. So.
And one day I photographed out where I go in this wildlife area, this swampland, and it was about 4 years ago. I got a turkey vulture. I mean, it was. I think man was like 8 or 9 feet. I'd never seen anything so big, and he was on a post, and I showed it to Nancy Planetta. You were going to interview Nancy, I think. Yeah, I think I sent it to her a few years ago, and for her to see it, she goes, "Oh my God, I never saw one that big." I said, "Neither did I." So we don't even know what's out there, as Austin said. We just don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I'll have to dig up. There's a picture I saw, and I don't know. It's supposed to be legitimate, though. I think they checked it out and everything. This guy in Ireland, him and his daughter were out, and she took a picture of this little sprite or fairy in this tree, and it looked kind of like a little human, but it had some wings, I think. And it was so.
You know what this? That reminds me of some of those pictures old John posts on Discord. You've seen him, Roger?
Yeah, I have. It's amazing. I love him when he does stuff like that because he swears up and down, "I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it." He won't do ghost and UFO videos no more, but he'll post those pictures.
Yeah, he just posted a UFO picture on there the other day, a couple days ago. Yeah, actually.
So did he leave in the sprites and the fairies and stuff too? Or?
Yeah, he does all
pictures
of
like
it.
that. He posted. Oh yeah, he's got a treasure trove of pictures you should look at, David. If you get a chance to see him, he's got a huge backlog of them. He posts on Discord constantly.
Wow.
And just to let you guys know too, I had a conversation with Nancy before the interview with David, and she said she's willing to reschedule an interview with you guys, so it's not lost and everything. But
yeah, good for you. Yeah. She's amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah, that's good. I was kind of sad she left, so I was looking forward to talking to her a little bit. So.
Yeah, she was my go-to. To me, she's a scientist. That's the way she thinks. I mean, a lot about it, and plus she's very perceptive. She's got like psychic ability a little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's amazing. Yeah, she knows everything about the space and the and the currents or the weather and HARP.
Oh,
You know about HARP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
HARP,
Yeah.
That's like a directed energy weapon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Nick Bagich was his name.
And it's-
He wrote the book Angels Don't Play This Harp back years ago. Yeah.
And then isn't the HARP thing part of the super darn highway, which is like a network of directed energy weapons, like stationed
I don't
throughout
know.
the world?
No, I think they're just
Okay.
weather related. They're just for weather, I believe. Now they could have
Weather
modified.
manipulation.
It could be modified over the years. Yeah, they could have. Because Nancy, I only thought there was one HARP weapon, but she says they're all over the planet now, and they're the ones
They
that
are.
are fooling with the weather. So you know, who knows?
Creating climate change hoax.
What you said you were messing with weather.
What?
Why am I?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're having some
What's
weird.
that, Summer? I didn't hear you.
Back up a
You
little
said
bit.
they were messing with the weather. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
The weather.
Yeah.
The weather.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
the weather.
yeah.
Well, they
Yeah, they
control
were- yeah,
the weather.
Well, they control the weather.
Yeah. What happened till we get
Yeah,
an
what
open back?
happened until we get an
I think.
I don't know. I didn't do anything.
No, I think.
I didn't do it.
I think.
It was
I think
Austin's phone's freaking out on him.
Austin's freaking.
probably the CIA messing with us or something.
No, I
So are we all back like this?
All back like shit.
You're getting a feedback all of a sudden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back all of a sudden, yeah.
I would almost bet Austin's radio's turned back upstairs again.
Radios turned back upstairs again.
This is crazy.
Oh
Hey.
no,
This is crazy.
I can hear you guys.
Well, I know you can hear us. That's the way it was the last time too.
That's the way it was the last time, too.
But she doesn't have that sound link on either, so I don't think it's going through that.
Okay.
And you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then it's not that.
Yeah.
No, still getting it. And I don't know whether
Yeah,
it's
I'm
my
like-
end or why. Yeah,
Still
but
getting it.
David.
yeah, but that harp thing is it wouldn't surprise me that they're controlling all the weather and all the time, because South Florida's sinking. they're mostly they said everything's melting, so the Miami area is sinking, and I don't know how Ohio weather's doing. You guys getting tornadoes and unusual weather?
Not unusual, I don't think, really. A little warmer than normal, though, the last few years.
Yeah, we had.
I can't hear yeah.
Yeah, we had the hottest summer last summer here in Florida. It was average. It was like between 112 and 115 every day in the heat index. Every
Wow.
day. It was brutal. It really was. And even the local, and the people who grew
I'm
up.
gonna get out and back in real quick. I've
Yeah.
lost you guys' audio.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're not hearing me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
Yeah, I hear you, Mary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear everybody. Yeah. I had the chat on. I was in chat, so I didn't, I just took it off. So it seemed to clear up after I took it off of chat. And I don't know,
Oh, okay.
it was my end. Yeah. Yeah.
I noticed the weather just seems to change so quickly. I mean, Ohio's always been like that, but like I remember when I was a little girl, since I grew up in the country, I was outside a lot. I don't ever remember like today, nowadays, where it's sunny, the sun's out, looks like it's going to be a nice 75, 80-degree day, and you walk out, like you go inside for 20 minutes and you walk back outside and it looks like you're going to have a thunderstorm, just like that. It seems to me like weather patterns were more structured and consistent back when I was a little girl. It's really weird now, just how quickly they seem to change. It's just odd to me.
You know, let me ask you guys something, because you all been in Ohio all your life?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, and Austin has too. Yeah.
And back in the late 80s, when I lived in West Palm, and I was doing, when that New Age movement was running around that West Palm Beach and down into Miami, there was a couple from Ohio named Harding, Harding, and I can't remember their first names. And they went and told, they had a book out, and I never bought the book, and I should have, but they traveled over to Maryland, the state of Maryland, and they found an obelisk where you could change the weather. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, what do you mean change the weather? She says, yeah, you can put in. I said, yeah, but suppose your weather isn't what I want. You know, I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Mary Harding was her name. I forget what her husband's name was, but they found this thing where you could change, you could dial in and do some kind of weather change.
Really?
Yeah, and I've never been up in there, and they didn't say where. They said it was in Maryland. That's all they said. I remember that. Yeah, it was really weird. So, you know, and it was after. What was that? It was before. It was after the harp came out. Yeah, it was after when they mentioned that obelisk that they found, and it was just like you could. It was like a keypad that you could somehow there were directions on it or something, and I'm thinking that can't be. It just doesn't make sense. But I don't know. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's out there? You know,
They must be in Ohio again, doing all kinds of stuff. It's pretty crazy here.
I know.
When I was in Vietnam, and what was it, 66, 67 weather, and they seeded the clouds over there to create rain during the monsoons, and the infinite wisdom of our military. So they didn't realize that we're there also, and the enemy's there, and everybody was bogged down in mud and rain.
Oh my God! Yeah, you
So
gotta think about
stupid. It was so they were doing that back in mid 66, 67. They were seeding clouds. So, but yeah, and then HARP came out, and it could be like what Austin said. They could be energy direction somehow. I don't know how, but
I wouldn't doubt it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Now, Austin, you need to sit still, man.
what did he do?
He keeps moving around. He's wanting to. There you go. So get it on your face. Just stay there.
10:30, so if you wanna.
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah.
And see, we start talking about politics and stuff, and he gets really, really excited and shit. And next thing you know, freaking, he's like jotting out and everything because he moves around real quick.
Yeah.
And he loves talking to me about freaking politics. That's like,
well, years ago in the early '90s and through the mid '90s, we used to have a group in Gainesville, Florida, and we talked nothing but the Constitution. We would meet every month.
That's cool.
Oh my.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, and they would come in because people don't read that book and nobody talks about it.
No.
And then when it was around the time Timothy McVeigh blew up that building in Oklahoma, and then we got blamed for it.
Yeah.
Here in Gainesville. Yeah, they were blaming our group, and I said, "What, are you kidding me?"
That's crazy.
Wow.
I don't even know where the heck Oklahoma City is. Never even been there.
Well, they found out.
Right.
They found out that he was actually a part of the research that was going on for frickin' MK Ultra, and it's beginning infant stages where they'd go to the colleges and they would do questionnaires for students.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, McVeigh was in college at the time and was doing those experiments for frickin' for extra money and stuff. And then he went off the frickin' grid, and that's when nobody knew who the Unabomber was. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah, Kaczynski. Yeah, he was off the grid too. Yeah.
And
years.
And they found out that he was also involved in it as well. Like they've got a whole bunch of these people who just flipped out and started doing crazy shit who were actually involved in that research because they would go to colleges and do that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all, Roger. Yeah, thanks for that information. Wow.
It's really interesting when you do research on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's amazing is how little people know about about history.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem, and especially young people now, they just don't care.
They don't care. You're right. Yep. They don't.
And it is important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like a lot of the protesters at the college now. Do they even know what they're protesting? I'm like, come on, do some research here. We'll see. You know, they probably don't. I think they just want to be like, oh, they want to copy after the people in the '60s, but you know, it's not like they're very original.
Well, the hippies in the '60s that protested, they were real protesters. Like now it's a joke. They can't even protest correctly. They have to ask permission from the city to freaking walk down the street and protest.
To get a permit, right? You need a permit. Yeah.
Hippies didn't do that shit in the '60s, man.
No.
And they want to say they got arrested. You know,
that's why they did it. They did it so they could get arrested. You know what I mean? It was like now they're telling their protesters, "We'll save your freaking bail money for the right opportunity." That's the right opportunity. You should have your bail money in your pocket, ready for when you get arrested.
Well, you know, it's not like it's like one of those stupid Facebook surveys or something like, have you gone to Las Vegas? Have you skinny dipped? And have you been arrested? They're like, because they are so hungry for life experiences.
Oh, really?
But you get life experiences living. You don't just like go out and say, oh, I'm going to go and get arrested, or I'm going to, you know, I mean, you just have to, a lot of times you're just living, but it's like, it's scripted for younger people or something. It's creepy, you know?
Wow.
A lot of it's staged too. Like everybody talks about George Soros for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's got the paycheck. A lot of those kids are getting money to show up. They're getting good grades in the universities. Like they get good grades for actually going on out and protesting.
And they get a grade for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
My God.
I just wish that people were original anymore. You know, just come on, just live and be what your generation is.
Yeah.
Instead of going by a script or going on TikTok and thinking, oh, I got to do this and this and this. You know, I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's very scripted. You know, didn't we just live like, and if we went out to party, these kids are back home at like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, we didn't start going out party until 10 or 11 o'clock.
That's right. That's right.
See, I told you she's a troublemaker.
Know how to party.
I told you guys. I told you she's a troublemaker. Like, listen to her. Like, she's telling kids, man, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, they are.
I know.
Nowadays, the college kids, and there was something, I don't know if David's ever heard of this, but I worked in a center, so I would hear kids right before I retired, because I'm retired, but right before I retired, these kids were going, we're going to die tonight. We're going to die tonight. So finally, I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? So I asked one of them, I said, what are you talking about? And they're like, we're going to, that means we're going to black out drunk. We're just going to drink until we black out.
Oh,
I was like, are you kidding me? They're like, yeah, that's what we do. We drink until we black out. And I was like, oh, wow.
That's scary. That's scary. That could kill you. That could kill you, that stuff.
Well, that also, if you're not with somebody, like if you're a girl or something, or, you know, even a guy, I mean, you can get robbed.
Yeah.
Stuff can happen.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they said that was a new thing they were doing because they wanted to experience something different so badly.
Huh.
Well, see, I'm sober for a reason now. Okay. I mean, like what you're talking about being so horrible, that was like a Friday night for me. I mean,
But did you do it like you didn't like?
Dude,
what
it
was your
wasn't.
experience?
You
You
weren't.
just did it.
No, you see, you weren't cool if you didn't wake up under a freaking overhead or overpass with your pants missing and piss running down your legs. Like that was
Horrible.
that
Oh,
that.
jeez.
You see what I mean? That I mean, shit. That's why, like I said, that's why I'm sober now, man. Like these kids, man, they're freaking crazy if they're doing that stuff because, like,
Yeah,
that's full.
yeah, you're right.
You
You're
know?
right.
But you lived it. I mean, and
Yeah.
but you did do it on purpose. It's like they're doing it on purpose because say they've got life experience. They take pictures of themselves every second because they say they're living life.
I
But
tell
you
you what,
can't be living life taking pictures every second.
you know, with a girl, you know how you can tell if she's an alcoholic or not. When she's at the
No.
party and she puts the bottle in her mouth and accidentally breaks her teeth. That's
What?
if she keeps drinking after that, then she's a freaking alcoholic.
Oh, bro. Or she's just crazy.
That's
Yeah.
well, being an alcoholic is actually freaking crazy. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, like
Well,
if she keeps drinking after doing that, which I've actually seen a few of them my age do that, they
Wow.
they just keep doing it and they don't care.
wow.
I never heard of that. That's crazy, Roger.
That's because I lived
Yeah,
on
that's
the wild side. I was one of the cool kids.
Sounds like
Yeah,
you
well-
were with a pretty big partying group there.
Yeah.
Well, it was like Summer said.
Oh,
we
I've
used-
been.
when we used to go out, we'd get back at 5 in the morning, and then sleep for an hour, and then get up and go to work.
Yeah.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand that. Like, what the fuck were you guys thinking? Getting up and going to work after partying until 5 in the morning? Shit. You
Well,
know,
you might as
Nothing
well.
else to
Like,
do.
you're not gonna.
It's cool. That was a cool thing to do.
it's like I would have shown up, freaking dragging my ass, freaking everybody be like, "Are you still drunk?" Yeah. Yeah.
I've
And
done
then you go
that.
out- And Roger, and then you go and do it again that night.
Yes, exactly. Like you're like, I'll never do that again in the morning, but like after work, you're like, yo, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. 'Cause now you're ready to go party again. Yeah.
Because that jackass that you just left like that night or that morning at 5 a.m. He meets you after work and he said, "Dude, guess what?" Yeah, I've been there. I've done that.
Well, and then if you were alive in the '80s, which you all were,
Yeah.
Austin was too young for this, but well, actually, the late '70s, early '80s. You know, remember all the glass coffee tables and the big parties?
Oh,
yeah.
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 I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I actually had a glass table and I freaking lost the freaking metal frame for it. So what I did is I just went ahead and put it up on top of, you know those freaking hay bale things where they're like a round and they're made of
Yeah.
wood?
Right.
Yeah.
We found one of them and I stuck it in my room and I stuck the round freaking table up on top of it.
So you could still cut lines.
Well, that came later on in life. Like,
Jeez.
see, that was the really fun time of my life. Like after the overpass story, I mean, it kind of went further.
Yeah, I never knew anybody, Roger, who did that overpass stuff like what you were
No,
saying.
I know a guy who did it.
Oh,
Not that. Wow.
that-
He had to walk home with like no pants on and just a shirt. It was
My
horrible.
phone freaks. My
Yeah,
phone freaks out, and I get back in on this.
Yeah, you made it to the best
I'm
part.
actually glad that the 80s were over when they were over. I mean, I didn't party that much, but I was with a lot of, if you went to any parties, that's what it was like. And I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Just, and a lot of people destroyed their lives with that stuff. But,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm proud of you that you didn't, Austin, because
oh, Austin he was born in 86, so it was starting to dwindle
oh
down
Yeah.
oh
a little bit.
Yeah, I'm the baby of the group.
Most of people
Yeah, I see that. Well,
were
good for
dead.
you.
that's why I have to keep telling him to sit still, because like he's always moving around and stuff, and like
I do too.
he
But
his phone he keeps freaking out because he moves.
Maybe.
you know what? It didn't go into the 90s very far. The coke, all that coke and stuff was
That
because
was when I
everybody
was hitting it.
that was taking it had died by then.
No,
And the rest
No.
of you had to quit. The rest of us had to quit because we had
Oh,
to
I had-
get,
dude, I didn't know what
Oh, I
cocaine.
had.
I didn't know what good cocaine was until frickin' 1999, dude. Like, I was always frickin', I was like frickin' listening to frickin' Prince, party till
Oh,
it's
yeah.
1999 and shit. And like,
well, maybe it was through the 90s. Maybe I just was a little.
No,
I
I
just
mean-
dropped out of the game.
that's just my experience, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
I kept on going. Like, everybody, all my friends had like disappeared. All my teenage friends, I didn't even know where they were anymore,
they died.
It probably, well, yeah, probably.
Jeez,
That's
that's
not funny.
crazy. It's funny.
That's something. No, I mean, I had my partying days for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never did any of that junk. Nothing.
That's. Then you're
I didn't do it.
Stuff.
I came back from Vietnam and I went to see my friends and of course everybody was out of school and they're hanging out and they're all setting up lines on cars and they said, hey, want a line? I said, no, I don't do that stuff, man. I just got back from a war. What the hell I need
Yeah.
drugs for? I don't need
You're one of
them.
the smart ones. You.
Yeah, I
Forget.
never. They're all dead now. Every one of them's dead. So
Yeah.
that's the way I look
Yeah.
at it.
That's why. That's
Yeah.
why.
From that shit.
Yeah,
I had a
that's all.
friend. I had a friend that did every drug, every alcohol, or all the alcohol I've ever drank with me, and you know how he ended up dying? A tick bite.
Oh yeah. Well.
Did he get Lyme disease?
He got the Lyme disease, but then he wouldn't go into the doctor to have it treated, and it resulted in it's degenerative where frickin' the
Yeah.
Lyme disease starts eating at your body,
Yeah.
and he lost his memory.
Wow.
Eventually, frickin' he passed away from it, but it was pretty horrible. So anybody out there who hears that, if you get bit by a tick, take your ass
Yeah.
to the hospital and don't play around with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, I guess we should get off of here now that we're going into like past 10:30, unless anybody has anything else to say or.
No,
No.
I think we've
Guys,
covered
anything?
everything. The only thing we didn't cover was like frickin' naked chicks and stuff.
Yeah, we didn't get to those stories.
That's relevant.
We'll do that on my
I
show.
have-
Or Klaus.
We'll have to get to
Schwab.
that.
You like Klaus Schwab?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Klaus Schwab.
No.
I don't think we should with these two, like especially with Austin. We need to watch him because
It's if we talk too much about him, it's gonna freak my phone out again because the feds don't like it.
they don't
No,
like
they
when
don't like it
you
at all.
they don't like when you talk about it. Like
Uh-oh.
Doesn't seem like it.
Well,
As soon as I start,
I'll say something about our government. I've been dealing with this stupid ass CIA since the 60s, and they hate me and I hate them. And
Uh-oh.
everyone that goes through there, I even pulled a gun on them one time back in my dad's house because they were harassing my dad at his house. So I pulled a gun on them. And yeah, I don't fool around. I don't play games, and they know it, and I guess they continue, and they even hijacked one of my well, not mine, but my dad's and Paul Villa's photograph. They put it on the disc they were giving out on the flying saucers out of the CIA or the Pentagon, one of those damn things up there. Yeah, they don't like me. I'm not. I mean, even Roger, I mentioned last week that see, I own my own airspace here.
Oh, cool.
I own up to 30,000 feet.
That's pretty cool.
I own everything on the surface and everything to the center of allegedly to the center of the earth, and they hate me because they can't fly their jet airplanes through my airspace.
Yeah.
They can't control you.
Yeah.
No, they can't because I own the property when we bought it. We bought from somebody who had settled this area after the Civil War. They gave them, if you worked the property, they gave you like 640 some acres, like homesteading, and they gave them all the rights of all the property, even up to the airspace to the moon and everything on the surface and everything to the center of the earth, and that's how we bought our property from our land contract. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and very few people know about this, and I sent them a bill to stop it, and they didn't pay the bill, but I didn't care. I just wanted the planes to stop. You know, when the jets fly so low, your curtains blow because your windows are open. They're low.
Yeah.
They're too low.
I'd say.
Yeah. That's time to stop that. That's harassment. That's what that is. And
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And
They were harassing you.
Yeah. Well, me and everybody else that lived here because they just thought it was a rural area in Florida. There was anybody there. There's no intelligent life down here. So that's what they were figuring.
That's what they mean by flyover territory. They can come in there and harass you.
Exactly. It's exactly what it is. Yeah, and that's probably why I don't get any UFOs in here because I own my air rights, and they got to contact me to see whether they can come in or not.
That's pretty badass.
So I guess we better call this short before Summer starts falling asleep on us in the middle. She said it's 11 o'clock. I think it is.
Almost. Well,
quarter of.
About a quarter till our time.
So,
yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I'm Eastern Seaboard also, so we're all in the same time zone. So yeah.
Yeah, the Eastern.
It's late. It's late. It's what it is. It's Saturday night.
Now, Summer always forgets to ask this. I'm going to ask for her, okay? If you think you can give your information, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you and stuff like that, David.
Oh yeah, you can look on Facebook.
You're gonna have to say that.
David Champ, CHAMP, and you can look at my photographs on Facebook and my wildlife that I do, and you can. On Amazon.com under books, the UFO spacecraft identification manual, and it's also by David Campione, and it also tells you how you can contact the flying saucer, how to protect yourself when you're around when one comes around you, and it shows all the different visitors that we had in that Delaware Valley in Philadelphia and southern New Jersey, plus the Paul Villa color photos are in there also. So yeah, check it out. Like you said, you don't have to buy. You can just flip through the pages in there. And
okay. That sounds good. I'll try to add you on Facebook. I'll look you up. I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but
I do a lot of wildlife photography, and one thing I don't believe in reptiles visiting us here because I photographed the alligators, and they're some of the biggest reptiles I've ever seen, and they're stupid. And they don't fly. They don't have spacecrafts.
Hopefully not.
No, because
that'd be scary if they did.
Well, yeah. Well, we got one guy out where I go. We call him Goliath. He's over 13 feet and he's 800 pounds.
Wow.
An alligator. Yeah, he's scary. He's scary. He would eat me for an appetizer. Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
but anyway, I have some neat pictures on there. That's all I do now is wildlife photography because I don't need any permission to photograph the wild
Yeah,
animals.
True. You don't have to worry about copyright or something like that, huh?
Now, I copyright all my stuff, but when the first time I ran into it was in Washington D.C. and what was it, 1979. I'm under my hood photographing the cherry blossoms in a Lincoln Memorial at the reflecting pool, and I look up and I felt a presence, and there's a guy with his hand on his gun, and I said, what are you doing? He goes, he says, I got to see what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm taking a picture here. And he goes, do you have a permit? I go, a permit? For what? He said, to put your tripod on federal property. And that's when I got really ticked off at our government because I had to get permits for everything that I did to put a tripod down.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still that way. It's still that way. It's even worse now. Some of the stuff is worse now. But anyway, you can see some neat photographs, some neat wildlife stuff I have up there. And
Okay. Yeah, we're
That's-
land balls now, aren't we? So, well, okay, I'm going to
yeah,
sign off.
it's been a pleasure.